The market did not avoid a second crash. It has just postponed it. People think that the 30th was the crash. The 30th is just the beginning of the crash. So I wanted to make a video talking about the supposed second crash of the Counter-Strike skin economy. It's lost almost $2 billion in the last week. If you've been living under a rock, you can now turn 5 reds into a knife or a pair of gloves, guaranteed every single time, with equal odds of getting a top tier knife compared to one of the less desirable knives. It is very profitable right now in a lot of people's eyes, and what that's done is that's crashed the skin economy. It's now been a week since the update that occurred on the 23rd. It's the 30th today. Everyone has been saying, wait till the 30th to buy. That's when the second crash comes. That's when the trade restricted items hit the market. So today hit, and you can see from this graph here, we've actually seen an increase. It's starting to climb back up. Now, why has this happened? Everyone was predicting, everyone was telling everyone, buy on the 30th, everything will be the cheapest it's going to be, because that's when the trade restriction lifts. Why hasn't that been the case? So the market from the 23rd until now essentially froze, because every single person was being told, do not buy skins right now, buy skins on the 30th when the trade restriction is lifted. What that has caused is a synthetic increase today, the first day of the trade restriction being released, the 30th, the second crash day. That's caused a dramatic increase in how many people are actually buying the skins. Not only are people buying because they're trying to invest right now, the people who were going to buy the knife anyway, they are now buying the knife at the price it is right now because they've been told that today is the day it will be the cheapest. They've now started to see the market slightly recover, and they think, oh, the market's recovering. I need to buy now because it's the cheapest it's going to be. So this is what we're talking about. This is the M9 Bayonet Doppler, and this is the Buff listing. So Buff is one of those really popular third-party trading websites we were talking about in the last video. You should really watch my previous video if you haven't already, because it goes into why I think this has happened. So here we've got the initial dip that occurred on the update of the 23rd. From then on, it decreased and then started to stagnate, rise and fall, and then it came to the 30th and everyone was expecting it to drop further. Everyone was telling everyone, don't buy till the 30th. I can't stress enough. Everyone was telling everyone, do not buy until the 30th because that is the day that everything drops to the lowest. So people have not been buying during this period. Now, of course, there have been people who have been sniping listings. You know, they think it's going to go up. There has been an increased number of buys and buy orders during this 1 week period because people have been trying to capitalize on the uncertainty. But that is people doing exactly that, trying to capitalize and flip for a profit. The majority of the player base who was just waiting to buy today, they are now buying. So today we've seen a massive increase in sales of all items. You can see here that it's slightly started to recover on Buff, and I want to show you the CS float listing of the M9 Doppler as well. So before the update, just a few weeks before the update, from the 5th till the 12th, a 1 week period, just a few weeks before the update, this knife sold, and you can check for yourself, I've counted, it sold just in phase 3, so one of the cheaper phases of this high tier knife, so it sells quite often. It sold 19 times in a 1 week period between the 5th and the 12th. Do you know how many times it sold just today? 24 times. That's completely unnatural. That's synthetic. It's more expensive now than it was yesterday, and there have been way more sales, almost 10 times more sales just on float. That's because people have been holding out. People are now panic buying because they think that we had already hit the bottom. Let me tell you why we hadn't hit the bottom. Everyone is telling you the 30th is the day the crash happens. The 30th is just the day the crash starts. Today is the first day that that first lot of knives and gloves that were traded up to on the 23rd, they have their trade restrictions removed and they are now marketable. Every item that was traded up to on the 24th, up till the 29th, up till right now, the 30th, people still unboxing these items, they have not hit the market yet. So this is Con1G, and he's put together a really nice spreadsheet that shows the amount of reds that have been sold in the last week. So this shows a 6-day period, just a 6-day period. We're now 7 days, almost 8 days from since the update. So this is only showing the most popular sold reds. I couldn't find the Mac 10 Neon Rider in factory new condition on this spreadsheet, so not every single red is on here. What we can see here is the amount of reds that have been sold just up till the 28th, so 2 days ago now, from the date of the update. It is 1.2 million reds that have been bought. But let's say just 1 million of those have been used for trade-ups or are going to be used for trade-ups. That is 200,000 new gloves and knives added to the supply on the market. However, this is from the 23rd till the 28th. The only supply of knives that have just had the trade restriction removed are the knives that were unboxed on the 23rd to the 24th. So that's just 1 day, 1 day's worth of knives. But we have 200,000 just accounted for up till 2 days ago. It's even more now guaranteed. We could be close to that 300,000 number, and it's only going to keep rising. How many of those are going to be undesirable M9 bayonets? How many people have spent $250 to $300 on Reds? And the people who already had the Reds and bought early, so they got them for potentially $25 or less than $100? How many people in that category have traded up, maybe done multiple trade-ups, and got an undesirable gold? Maybe an M9 bayonet Urban Masked, or an M9 bayonet Forest DD Pat. Hell, even an M9 bayonet Freehand. They're not as popular as the others. They're not as popular as the Tiger Tooths, the Slaughters, the Dopplers, obviously. You know, these are going to be potentially undesirable, and for the mid-tier skins, like the Black Laminate, the Freehand, they are also going to be less desirable. There are going to be people mass selling these knives, particularly the very low-end knives, the worst case outcomes from those trade-ups, the Urban Masked, Battle Scarred, you know, the Scorch, the Boris DD Pat. If you are looking for just the animation, you're looking for just any M9 bayonet, in the next week, 2, 3 weeks, you are going to see a dramatic drop in prices for these specific items. I would predict you'll be able to get these items for $100 to $200 because of how many people are going to be offloading them from them doing multiple trade-ups and getting multiple bad outcomes. As for the middle tier knives, the same situation is going to occur. Some people may keep them, okay, obviously, but there are going to be a lot of people who were gambling. It's gambling. This is gambling. They were gambling for the top tier skins and they don't want the mid-tier knives. They're also trying to make profit. That's a big part of the gamble. Do you make profit? Right now, it was almost guaranteed to make profit. Right now, it doesn't make sense that the knives haven't fallen and the Reds haven't fallen because the cheapest knives, the most undesirable knives, are still more expensive in a lot of cases than 5 of these Reds that you use to get the knife. So why wouldn't you just buy those 5 Reds and take a chance at getting one of the most desirable or a mid-tier desirable outcome as opposed to the worst desirable outcome, the least desirable outcome? It doesn't make sense. And people aren't realizing this because there was the social psychology aspect of the crash. The demand was so high because of the amount of people waiting for the crash to happen that the supply couldn't meet it because it was only an extra 1 day of supply and everyone's currently trying to hold out and make as much money as they can from their current investments because they don't want to cut their losses. Obviously, people want to sell for as much as they can. So the prices crept back up, but even tomorrow and the day after, and definitely in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to a month, we are going to see a dramatic drop. I would predict that we have the initial drop here, and then it was up and down, a bit tumultuous, and now it's starting to rise again. Let's say it's risen to here. I would expect in the coming week, 2 weeks, we're going to see this. We're going to see a slow decrease and increase until a week has passed and the supply has hit the market. All the people that unboxed the knife on the 2nd day but didn't sell it 1 week later, they may sell it with the people who unboxed the knife on the 4th, 5th, 6th day of the update being live. And then those days are going to have a massive increase in volume of supply. The demand has already lowered because everyone that was holding out is buying today. Of course, there are still people holding out to see if it goes down, but the majority of people who were already going to buy, they already had the money together to buy these knives and had bought at a discount already. They have already bought because they weren't hurting. They were still capable of buying the knife. So they probably have bought the knives. They probably still bought the loadouts that they want. The demand has gone down and the supply is going to go up. What that means is the crash is still imminent. People think that the 30th was the crash. The 30th is just the beginning of the crash. It is the coming weeks after, because again, every single day, more items have been unboxed, and more items are still being unboxed and gambled to as we speak. Everywhere, no matter where you are in the world, there are gamblers. Now I want to show you the butterfly knives, the most desirable knife type in the entire game. Because of that, it has had one of the most, if not the most, amount of knives unboxed because people are spamming breakout cases and people are spamming the Spectrum 1 and 2 cases to try and get the butterfly knife Dopplers and emeralds. Think of how many of these butterfly knives are undesirable Think of how many of these butterfly knives are not the Gamma Doppler emeralds, are not the Gamma Dopplers, okay? These knives are going to get sold en masse. People are going to offload these knives so heavily. The Bright Waters, even the Autotronics, are considered tier 2, at least price-wise. You know, these and the freehands, these knives are going to come down in price. You can guarantee all the military camo knives, the Boris DD Pats, again, you know, the Boreal Forests, they are going to plummet. Butterfly knife Boreal Forests, maybe $200. We don't know. That's what they may be in a month from now. They are going to drop so heavily because people are spamming these trade-ups right now to get the best possible outcomes, and they don't want the bad outcomes in their inventory. They're going to try and sell them to recuperate. And right now, it's profitable to do so. That's what doesn't make sense. Knives right now are still being sold for the same, if not more, than the 5 reds used to trade up. So if you got a bad butterfly knife outcome, the Forest DD Pat, well-worn, battle-scarred, field-tested, yeah? You can sell that and recuperate most. In some cases, I've seen more money than the money you spent on the reds. How does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense. And when people realize this, the reds are going to continue to climb and the knives are going to continue to come down until it is how it should be. Because at the end of the day, these trade-ups are gambles. You are gambling for a good outcome, yeah? And if you get a bad outcome, that's a loss. That is not a win. It is not an infinite money glitch. And when people realize this, and the supply, the delayed supply, finally hits the market, while the demand has just fell because of the first day that everyone's been waiting for has just passed, and then everyone's just mass bought what they wanted, yeah? We are going to experience the second crash. It is only going to go down from there. It is going to be a steady downwards curve, and then it may stagnate near the bottom. But who knows? Valve could easily release the Spectrum 3 case, and then Spectrum 3 cases would be easily accessible. And who knows, they might have the butterfly knife Dopplers in there, you know, Gamma Dopplers, the M9 Gamma Dopplers, who knows, just the Dopplers in general, whatever they put in there. That's not unheard of. They've done it before. It's very reasonable for them to do something like that. They've released sequels to cases before. The Chroma 1, Chroma 2, Chroma 3, Spectrum 1, Spectrum 2, you know? These things are normal. And if they did that, not even the higher tier knives are safe. You need to understand that, because everyone seems to be saying the higher tier knives are safe right now because only a few thousand of them have been unboxed. Yes, only a few thousand of them have been unboxed, but the demand has already fell from today. Those are not going to sell. We saw how many of these knives get sold on a weekly basis. M9 Bayonet Doppler Phase 3, one of the cheapest phases, so the most bought phases, because it's the most affordable, while still being a top tier knife. Only 19 sold within a period of 1 week on CS Float, the biggest third-party trading site in the West. You know, now, today, 24 have been sold. That completely accounts for the last week and more, because people were bulk buying because they're trying to flip for profit. It is going to get bad. Another big thing, really important. You need to understand, people right now are buying, mass buying and picking up knives and gloves for profit. They think they're going to flip for more money than what they bought it for, double their money, you know, maybe even triple their money in some places, depending on if they're buying reds or whatever. When these start to eventually fall in the coming week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to a month, okay, when this supply increases while the demand is falling, these people are going to offload these skins to get their money back. Do you know what happens when all these knives hit the market? We are going to experience another crash because the supply will increase even more. People will be undercutting each other and the knives will drop so dramatically. Listen, it's your money, it's your life. I'm not telling you what to do with your skins, your investments, your purchases. I would really wait right now and see, because right now it's going up. It shouldn't be going up. It's going to go down when the next supply hits. People aren't realizing right now, and the reason it is going up is because of that group psychology aspect, that group mentality of everything is going back up. Everyone thinks right now it's going back up. Whether people continue to think that or not, it doesn't matter. Reality will kick in when the supply goes up, because knives are still being unboxed, and all the knives that have currently been unboxed, again, over 200,000, we're probably going to be close to 300,000, if not 400,000 next week, okay? When those knives hit the market with the demand that's already falling, because people think that the knife prices have stabilized and are going up again, people are looking away. The people who aren't interested in CS are now leaving again because they were interested for the 15 minutes of, oh, what's this? You know, oh, I can get a cool skin for cheap. Now it's, oh, they're going back up in price. We're not interested. They're going to leave. So that demand goes down. We lose that demand. The demand from the player base is going to determine this. On a lighter note, if you're a fan of the cheaper knives in the game, survival knives, gut knives, huntsman knives, the Navajas, you're going to have a really good time, because these knives have just been opened en masse, and these are undesirable knives. The people opening cases with these knives in, they were not looking for a survival knife. they were looking at the top tier knives, the high tier knives and the high tier finishers. You will get these low tier knives, these cheap knives in nice finishes, the slaughters, the fades, you know, the Dopplers, and you will get them for a really nice price, okay? Because there is a surplus of them right now, and people are buying up the nice knives right now because people are like, oh, it's the expensive ones that have dropped. If you're okay with, you know, a rust coat or a safari mesh or urban mask, you are going to be able to get a survival knife or a gut knife for pennies. You know, it's going to be $30, $40, like it used to be 10 years ago. It's ridiculous. So just take this into account before you start panic buying. There is going to be a big crash, whether it happens across one day or across weeks, it will happen. I think there will be multiple large crashes where it slowly goes down and then has a big crash again. It's going to keep happening until we stabilize. We're going to stabilize at a much lower place than we were until the case supply lowers. And then there is nothing to say. In fact, I would almost bet money that it will occur like this, that Valve will release another case like the Spectrum 3 case, or maybe a new case that has access to these high tier, top tier knives, okay? The butterfly knives, the M9 Dopplers, the Karambits. This is going to happen, and when that does happen, it will destabilize again and continue to fall. I would really implore you to go and watch my other video if you have the time, because I go into detail of why I think Valve is doing this. Things that other people aren't talking about right now that really affect you and me and everyone else. Really appreciate all the support on the last video. There were a lot of comments too. I tried to respond to as many people as I could. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Tell me what you did like. Tell me what you didn't like. And subscribe if you potentially want to see any more content in the future. Thank you so much for watching and have a good one.